RAM OCS. Control groups. With this function we can control and monitor simultaneously the different parameters of specific channels as and when we wish. So we can, for example, group all the channel A's of a group of amplifiers and assign a LED common virtual gain control, which allows us to change the gain in the whole group. Parameters that can be grouped together to form a control group are input gain, output delay, output delay, and input equalization in the next update. We can also create alert groups which allow us to control these groups of channels, in the same way as with the zones. To create control groups we need to create a structure similar to that of devices, where we will include the desired groups or folders that will help us to distribute our resources in graphic form. For example, we can have a device structure including 2 zones, left and right, each one with 3 amplifiers, and we can create control groups with a similar structure in which also group the low, mid, and high waves of each amplifier. Low in channels A and B, mid in channels C, and high in D. This way we can control independently gain, delay and equalization together with a group of inputs or outputs of the channels of different amplifiers. This allows us to carry out a global configuration of our total system, either for an initial setup, or for daily management. To access the control group configuration we need to go to the Control Groups tab where we can add as many control groups as we need from the top menu, or by right-clicking on the mouse. From this menu we can also create folders to group different zones or groups. In the tree on the left we can see the zone structure created previously with our amplifiers in the device window. And on the right we can see the group tree where we create control groups by dragging the zones or amplifiers directly from the zone tree. When we drag an amplifier or amplifier zone to a control group, a window will appear to guide us through the process of creating a group. Firstly, the type of group to be created will appear, followed by the chance to select if this group will affect the input or output resources, and if so, which input and output resources will be affected. When we click on the button Add Group, a list of the selected resources will be created in the tree, indicating the type of resource, together with the amplifier model, name and serial number as usual. To access the control we have created, we need to click on the corresponding icon that appears to the right of the control group name. This will open the control group window, and by modifying its value we create a new virtual control for the selected parameter. We can create as many controls or groups as we wish, and each one will have a new virtual control assigned that will modify the value of all the resources dependent on that control. It is not possible, however, to include the same control group in 2 different folders, as this could produce recursive change or duality. In our example we have created from the root a folder called All Venue, where we can find the 2 folders named left and right which contain the folders low, mid, and high. Inside these folders we have created the gain, delay, and alerts folders, and they have been assigned to the corresponding resources, in this case output gain and delay, to the specific channels. In this way, for example, we can control these same parameters, but for a complete zone left or right, or the complete system. Each one of these controls defines a virtual value, and the sum will give the final result that corresponds to each channel. This final value for each parameter can be seen in each specific amplifier window, as we saw earlier. For example, if we open the window of one of our amplifiers and we go to the gain section, we can see that in the cell total of each channel the value of the final gain appears, which will be applied taking into account all the gain steps. If we modify, for example, the gain value of a control group that affects our amplifier, we can see the final result instantly. It's important to know that the control groups define virtual values of gain and delay that are applied directly to the amplifiers connected in real time, provided that the real-time option has been selected in the control group menu. This option is configured this way by default but can be deactivated. If we're not working in real time, we can send the values configured in the control groups by clicking on Update All in the control groups menu. This can take a long time. The progress of each amplifier is shown in a column on the right. The virtual value of the control groups is a parameter that forms part of each project, and which features in the amplifier as a global value. Therefore, it is not possible to recover the total structure of the control groups of an amplifier from the amplifier data alone. We always need the complete project file for the configuration. This virtual value can be set to 0 in two ways, either by loading an input or output preset directly from the amplifier, or by clicking on the Reset All icon in the control groups menu. This would reset all the virtual control values of all the amplifiers, and also the control group values of our current project.